Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida. And if you're new to my content, I help support people that are on a healing journey, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And today is Monday, which means we have book club. And we have been moving through several different books. We started with Wayne Dyer, then we moved on to Eckhart Tolle, and now we are on The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And if you're part of book club, let me know when you arrive. If you're watching here with me live, if you're catching the replay, let me know you're catching the replay. Feel free to ask questions anytime in the comments. We really take some time each week to dive into every chapter and take like the nuggets from it, really discuss like, look, what was the main point here? What were we trying to get at here? And how can we put it into our lives, right? So that we can evolve, we can grow. And Michael Singer's work is incredible. If you're enjoying this book, you don't have to read it. You can just tune in and catch the replays also. But he also has, I was just telling somebody over the weekend that didn't realize this. So Temple of the Universe is what Michael Singer created. And he's there. It's where he lives. It's actually about, maybe it's an hour and a half from me, north. And his talks, his lectures get put up on the Temple of the Universe website every week. So if you're enjoying him, hey Karen, good to see you. Thanks for letting me know you're here. If you're enjoying this, you might want to go to the website. I want to say it's like tou.org. It's Temple of the Universe. So you can find it. This week, what we talked about, we're moving on to part 3. So this book has been kind of put into different parts. Part 3 is about freeing yourself. And he named this chapter, Let Go Now or Fall. And this, I would really say, was about the negative cycle that we can get into. And how many of you have ever gotten into a negative spiral? Like, put a 1 in the chat if you've gotten into a negative spiral where it's like something happened and then all of a sudden it's like the dominoes just fell. And now you're down this rabbit hole of like doom and gloom, and you're angry and you're getting angry at the people around you, and just like life's a mess. Maybe you're crying, maybe you're yelling. It's happened to me. It certainly has happened to me. Hey, Angela, good to see you. So it's something that I think, we've all gotten to. It's part of being human. And he really lays out why it happens, how it happens. And then, hey, Lou, good to see you. Hey, Charlotte. And he then lays out like what you need to do to stop the negative spiral and then actually start the positive spiral. So instead of cycling down in life or trying to maintain and then you're like, oh shoot, there I go down again. Now it's teaching us to cycle up and how we can actually elevate ourselves. And the same things that used to trigger us and make us go down can now trigger the upswing. Pretty fascinating. Pretty fascinating stuff that he shared. So I loved how he kicked off this chapter, and I highlighted so much, as always. It's like there's so much gold in this book. So he says, the exploration of self, which is what we're doing here, is inextricably interwoven with the unfolding of one's life. The natural ups and downs of life can either generate personal growth or they can create personal fears. And so what he's saying is that, look, life is actually designed, I always think of life as like an obstacle course. And it's an obstacle course designed for your personal growth. But if you don't know that, you're starting to look at this as like, life is hard and it's unfair and it's making me fearful and it's making me upset. And what he's saying is like, no. It doesn't have to be that way. It depends on the way you're looking at it. He says, which of these dominates is completely dependent on how we view change. And so I want to ask those of you that are here with me, or if you're catching the replay, put it in. Do you view change as exciting? Put a 1 if it's exciting. Or frightening. Put a 2 if you find it frightening. So again, the question, do you view change as 1, exciting, or 2, frightening? I know a lot of people that can't handle change. They don't like change. They don't even like to upgrade the software on their phone or on their computer because they're like, I'm going to have to get used to new changes. All right. Some people just really don't like it. It frightens them. Charlotte says 1, it's exciting. Okay. Karen says 1 and 2. Yeah. I would have to say, if I were honest with myself, I would say that for a long time, it was 2. I was very frightened of change. I didn't like it. And now I've come to realize, yes, like you, Angela, used to be 2, but now I've come to realize, okay, it's exciting. So like stuff's changing in my life right now. Like stuff in my business is shifting and I'm going, man, these are massive changes. That means something big is coming. Like, it's exciting. When you start to realize that, like, whoa, change means we're ushering in something new, something different, something exciting, something that's going to force me to grow. Most people resist it because it pushes them, right? And we fear what we can't control. What he said was, if fear is the thing that dominates, you are going to start to try to control life so that there's no unpredictable variables, right? You're going to try to just like force life into submission and make things definable and reliable and predictable. And do you guys know anyone that does this? I know people very well that I love deeply that are like this, where they plan every single part of the day. They plan absolutely everything to make sure that everything is predictable and controllable. And when things go wrong, it is hard for them. It is very hard for them. If you know people like that, you know what I'm saying. And maybe you're like that or you've been like that. And it's like, look, when you try to manipulate life into submission, I'm sorry, but life is going to kick back. Life has no allegiance to your plans. Life is going to do life's thing. All right? Life is going to do life's thing. And, rather than fearing what's happening, embrace it. Allow life to unfold to show you some incredible things, because your mind, right, can think of certain scenarios, but there is no way it could orchestrate the way that the universe can. There is no way I could have ever thought about the life that I live now. If I had let my mind control and tell me what to do, we would not be where we are. I would just say that. When I released control, when I said, okay, I'm in the back seat, I'm not in the front seat driving, let me trust where this is going, things got a little bit better. So he basically says, when it comes to fear, you've got two options. Number one, recognize that you have it and work to release it, which I would say most of us on here are on that path. We're definitely on that path. And then the second thing is you can keep it and try to hide from it, which doesn't go well. It does not go well at all. So moving on into this more, oh my gosh, we're 7 minutes in and I've done one page. We're going to have to move quick because there's so much. And I think the end of the chapter really got into like a lot of cool stuff. But he talked about like this resistance and control. And I was thinking about, maybe you've had an experience where you just realized like you tried to control life and it just didn't work. Like it bucked back. And maybe this will be helpful for you. I wanted to tell you a little story. When my car accident happened, so for those of you that don't know, I was hit by a drunk driver. It came out of nowhere, right? I was just driving 7 o'clock in the morning, like there's no one on the street. And all of a sudden this guy comes across the midline and hits my car head on. So out of nowhere. After that, for about a month, I was at home. So we were just trying to focus on getting me well. But then I moved back to Colorado where I was living at the time. And a friend of mine had left their car at the airport for me to drive home. I had not been in a car driving since the day of my accident. I got into the car and I had a full-on panic attack. Like numb, freaking out, couldn't breathe, hyperventilating, crying, and it was like, what is going on? And I thought, okay, I can get through this. And so then I tried to go to a doctor's appointment. Full-blown panic attack on the highway. I remember calling my dad and I'm like, what do I do? Like, what do I do? Because I couldn't breathe. I'm hyperventilating. I'm like, I'm going to get into a car accident. And it became very clear very quickly that I couldn't handle driving. Blew my mind. I've driven my entire life, never had an issue with it. So I had a friend of mine started to drive me to work, drive me to appointments. And I would start to freak out. Like, I remember distinctly one time I'm in the car, I'm in the passenger seat with him, and he's driving. And a biker, which in Colorado, everybody bikes. So there's bikers everywhere. But this biker came out of nowhere. Full-blown panic attack. I start freaking out. I'm like hyperventilating, crying, can't breathe. My whole hand, everything's tingling. And he gets mad at me. He's like, Danny, I know how to drive. Like, why are you freaking out? I'm like, I know you know how to drive. I don't know why I'm freaking out. Like, I don't know what's going on. But this is how it was until finally I got into therapy and I found someone that did EMDR, which is really helpful if someone has PTSD. So what I'm describing, right, was PTSD. And he did something called EMDR with me, and it's wild how it works, but it basically like hacks into the brain, and you follow this train of thought, and it's like one is connected to the next, and all of a sudden we got to the root of my issue, and it was control. And once my mind figured out, well, you just can't have control in some situations, it was like this liberation where all of a sudden my panic attacks were gone, the PTSD was gone. It was like this knowing that, oh, you just have to release and let go and trust. Once that got realized, everything resolved. And like, he's teaching the same thing. Mine was on a very subconscious level that we had to get in there because it was really rooted deep. I don't know if that made sense to you all, but it was such a powerful experience for me in the need to release control and understand that, hey, we don't control everything. And yeah, it set me free. Not a panic attack since. So he says, as you grow spiritually, you will realize that your attempts to protect yourself from problems actually start to create more problems. And it's for sure true. For sure true. He says, there's nothing wrong. He says, life creates situations that push you to your edge. Okay, and life is creating situations that are bumping up against your stuff all the time. For those of you that have gone through Inner Management Mastery with me, remember the lesson of the tube, right? We have these blocks inside of the tube, and this is the same stuff that Mickey Singer was talking about in this chapter, that life is bumping up against these blockages. And if you don't know they're there, you get triggered and you're like, people are crazy. People need to stop talking to me like that. People need to not do this. When really, it's the reverse. It's like, oh my gosh, thank goodness that person did that because I didn't realize this blockage was inside of me. And now, because they triggered me, that trigger is my teacher. And now because of that, I now know that this thing is unresolved in me. And now I can start to release it. Now I can start to let go. This is a key point. This is like the point of the chapter, which is like, look, spiritual evolution is when you realize I want to remove the blocks. I want to get this stuff out of me so I'm not triggered anymore. And most of us think that we're supposed to control life and say, well, don't talk to me like that. Don't put myself in these situations. I avoid this person. I don't do that type of work because I get triggered. No. That's not how it's supposed to go. You're not supposed to just be okay with the fact that inside of you, he says, it's so hard to understand how we decided that avoiding our inner issues was the intellectual thing to do, was the intelligent thing to do. It's not the intelligent thing to do. All right? It is not the intelligent thing to do to say, well, I can't do that or don't do that. You know, you probably have people around you. Oh, don't push this button. Oh, we don't talk about that in front of so-and-so, right? That's not the way to go about it. All right? If you're having these inner issues, evolution, your growth comes from addressing them. All right? And you don't have to talk through them. You just have to go, okay, when something gets hit, it's not let me avoid getting that hit again. It's, well, why is it getting hit? Right? Like I did. Like, okay, I'm having panic attacks. I can't drive. Like mine was an intense situation. So I was like, well, what is that? Like, why can't I? Oh, I was thinking I had to control everything. And my body literally freaked out when it couldn't control everything. I had to let control go. I had to let it go. I had to relax back. And that's the thing that you're going to learn. You know, when stuff hits you, it's like that's your opportunity. Okay? He says, I'm on page 74. Everyone is saying, I'll do every single thing I can to keep my stuff. If you say anything that disturbs me, I will defend myself. If you yell I'll yell at you. I'll make you take it back. If you cause any disturbance inside of me, I'll make you so sorry that you did. That's where most people live. All right? It sounds crazy. But most of society lives there. Isn't it wild? Once your eyes open up to it, like high five me. Are you guys with me? I'm sorry. I'm like on today. I haven't been with you all in a while. But high five me, put a 5 in the chat if you're with me. Like, this is huge. This is everything. He says, if you truly want to grow spiritually, you'll realize that keeping your stuff is keeping you trapped. And eventually you'll want out at any cost, and you will realize that life is actually trying to help you get out. Okay, I'm getting high fives. Angela, Charlotte, there we go. All right, life is really trying to help you get out. Life is surrounding you with the people and the situations to stimulate growth. I always tell all of my students, life is your playground. right? Those situations at work that are triggering you, that is your spiritual growth, right? Your family members, your relationships. Guys, we get into relationships, intimate relationships, because most of our stuff gets kicked up there. That's where the most growth happens, right? That's where we need to be. That's where we need to lead into. It's a good thing. You will only have to be willing to open your heart in the face of anything and everything to permit the purification process to take place. And so this is what I really wanted to get into today, because how to not cycle down, right? We've learned how to cycle down. We're going to get into kind of the steps of cycling down. But the way to just not do it is just to let go immediately. Like, as soon as you get stimulated, go, oh, there's the thing. Okay, I'm not going to react. I'm going to let that feeling be here and just let it burn, right? It just has to burn its way out. That anger, it's like intense. You just let it be intense, but you don't have to engage it, right? It can be there. We're not stifling it and putting it back under. No. We're saying, okay, I can be pissed, but I don't have to act on it. I can just be angry over here, take some breaths, allow the feeling to be, and it will burn itself out. Does that make sense? It's like if you set a piece of paper on fire, it's going to go whoosh, but then eventually it fizzles out. That's what we're talking about here. That's what it feels like. It's intense. What happens when you don't let go? It's like, I'm laughing because when it happens, and now that you guys have this understanding and you watch yourself do it, you're going to be like, have I lost my mind? Like, this is not worth it. Like, why am I going down this rabbit hole? And you'll pull yourself back and you'll realize it is way better to let go faster. But what you need to realize is that as soon as you start to get triggered, it's revealing something inside of you. You need to understand that you're not that thing, right? You're not the jealousy. You're not the anger. You're not the ticked off person. You're the one witnessing that, right? And so you can sit in the witness seat and you can allow that thing to burn through. Because otherwise, like, has anyone ever gone down the rabbit hole and then you've said something that you regret? Put a 7 in the chat if you've ever done that. I know I have. Where I'm like, I'm really sorry. Like, I don't know what came over me. I don't know why I said that. It's like the most hurtful thing. Or maybe it's happened where someone has been in their little rabbit hole of doom and they've said something nasty to you. And then they come back and they say sorry. And you're like, yeah, like, that was wicked. We get wicked. And it's because your survival instincts kick in. And I want to get into that because, guys, when you can understand this framework, it's going to help you to not go down, right? But to elevate. And then it's also going to help you be way more compassionate to other people because you're going to see what's going on and you're going to go, like, this is not their true essence. This is their ego mind in survival, right? And they just don't understand what's going on. So they can't stop the spiral. Okay. Hey, Fritz. Good to see you. All right. So the key is to understand that if you don't let go immediately, the disturbing force of the activated energy draws the focus of your consciousness. As your consciousness gets immersed into the disturbance, you lose your clear seat of self. All right. So you can be in witness. Most of us are trying to be in this witness space, right? But life can pull us in. The mind can pull us in. Stuff can pull us in. And it can be really an overwhelming force. And so what he's saying is the moment you let go, boom, you come back to witness. You get pulled in, you let go, you're back in the witness space. But sometimes we get pulled in and it's like, whoop, we just disappear. Like, you can't even get back to the witness because you're so full in on that. So how do you get pulled in so much? Because sometimes it feels like it has all the control over you, right? It's like, oh my gosh, it's such a powerful force. It's all controlling. So these are the steps. So you can recognize the steps and then avoid them in the future. So step 1, he says, it begins when you get pulled down into the disturbed energy, right? We just said we're in the witness space and all of a sudden something happens and consciousness gets pulled to the thing that's most disturbing. Just like your attention goes to the loudest thing in the room, right? Consciousness will go to the thing that's disturbed. And so step 1 is you get pulled down. That's step 1. And now we want to let go immediately and come back out. But step 2, if you get pulled down there, all of a sudden, and this is the key one to understand, step 2, all of a sudden, everything is distorted by the haze of your disturbance. Understand this. It's like for those of you that have been in mastery, it's the sunglasses, right? These sunglasses have come over you. And now all you're seeing is through this haze of the anger, of the jealousy, of the resentment, of the whatever feeling it is. Things that looked beautiful now look ugly. The haze is there. Things you liked now look dark. Now they look depressing. Nothing has changed. It's just that you're looking at life through the seat of your disturbance. And this is a key indicator. Yes, Lou, exactly. You get put under the spell. And it's wild. And it seems so real because as you're taking things in, your senses are telling you, well, that person's angry and they're mean to me. And now all of a sudden the world is like threatening. And now this is how you can see you get into that survival instinct and you attack back. But we'll get there. Okay. Look at this as like the indicator lights on your dashboard in your car, right? The check engine light comes on. We're going down towards a problem with the engine. And so it's saying, hey, check your engine. I would say the moment that you start to get annoyed by people, life starts to look ugly, you get angry, things are not happy that used to make you happy, this is an indicator light. This is the check engine light on the dashboard. This is saying, hey, you lost your seat. You're not in your sense of self. Okay, we're down here in a disturbance, like, warning, warning, right? That's what's happening. He says the moment you start seeing that you don't like the people you used to like, the moment you start seeing that your life looks really different, and is the moment you start getting negative. So let go. All right, you should have let go before when you first got pulled in, but you didn't. And so now if you're down here and things are negative, this is chance number 2 to let go. But it gets more difficult. The further you get down into the cycle, the more difficult it is. So step 3 is you're in the cycle. And he says, the cycle is the time it takes from the moment you leave your seat of clarity until you come back. All right, that's the cycle. You get pulled down, and then eventually you come back. But this period is determined by the depth of the energy blockage that caused the initial disturbance. Guys, there's some stuff that's deep. Like, think about when I was telling you my PTSD story. Like, it was deeply rooted. Like, I was very much not in control of the crying and my body going numb and the hyperventilating and like, and I got my friend telling me like it's fine. I'm like, I know it's fine, but something inside my body says it's not fine. Like, and it's a subconscious thing. Like, I'm not in control right now. And like, it had to go through its cycle. Okay, so that's an extreme example, but I'm sure you felt it as well. He says, if the blockage is stimulated by an ongoing situation, so if you are in a situation that is continuing to stimulate you, like there is a project in your life, there's a person in your life, there's a relationship, you're going to stay in the darkness for a while. It's going to be very hard to pull yourself into the witness when that continual disturbance is there, all right? However, if it's just a passing thing, you're able to drift back up pretty quickly, all right? Just to note. So that's 4 steps so far. There's 7, I think. 5th step. When you're in this state of disturbance, your tendency will be to act in order to try to fix everything. Okay? So we get pulled down. We're looking at life through this view. We're stuck in this until it cycles out. Sometimes we're stuck for a while. And so now we're like, okay, this doesn't feel good. Let me get out of here. How do I get out of here? And this is where all of a sudden your instincts come in. And he says, you don't have the clarity to see what's going on. You just want the disturbance to stop. So you start getting down to your survival instincts. And you may feel that you have to do something drastic. Uh-oh. Yes, Lou, it could take years. All right. Have you ever had thoughts like this when you've been in a spiral? I need to leave my husband or wife. I need to move. I need to quit my job. Like, I need to do something drastic. Has anyone ever had that? It happens to me. When I get pulled down, it's like, bah, you need to do this. And I'm like, that's intense. Like, no, I don't need to do that. But has anyone felt that? Put a 1 in the chat if you ever had that happen. But he says, understand this. The mind starts saying all kinds of things because it doesn't like the space that it's in and it wants to get away from it any way it can. And so it might tell you to leave the relationship, to leave the job, to leave your house. Right? It goes crazy. And that's another indicator that you're like, I must be not in the space of witness. Like, I must be in my ego mind right now because it's in survival mode and survival mode is intense. Okay? So the next step, he says, imagine that you act on that. So step 6, if you get into this cycle, you start having this like instinct to like, I gotta leave, I gotta change it all. The next step down in the spiral, which is a massive step, is that you act on it. Maybe you say the thing you shouldn't say. Maybe you do the thing you shouldn't have done. You quit the job, you leave the relationship, you break up with the person, whatever. You have no idea how big a step down that is. Mickey says it's the one thing for the disturbance to go on inside of you. That's one thing, to be having this crazy shenanigans happen inside of you. But the moment you allow it to express itself in the world, the moment you let that energy move out of your body, you have descended to another level. Uh-oh. Once you externalize these energies, you will want to defend your actions and make them look appropriate. But the person that's on the other receiving side of this is never going to think it's appropriate, because it's not, right? You're in some crazy like survival space and you lash out. It's never okay. Even though you think it's okay, it's not okay. And they'll never say it's okay. And step 7, he says, when you do this, you are literally taking the energy blockage and you're passing it on. You're literally taking the poison that was inside of you and you're pushing it onto other people and you're pushing it into your environment. He says you put more of that kind of energy into your environment and then it starts to come back to you. This is where now vibrationally we're drawing it in. And this is how the cycle gets really, really icky. This is how a negative cycle begins. That's how it happens. And he says you actually take a piece of your stuff, which is nothing but a deep-seated disturbance from your past, and you implant it in the hearts of the people around you. You're toxic, right? We've all seen toxic people. We know what it's like. You watch it and you're like, whoa, but guys, that's how they got there. And they don't know any better. Now you know better. And he says, step 8, how far can you go? Well, once weakened, he says, this is the crazy part, another blockage can get hit. And yet another one. And so you can keep falling down and down and down and down until your life is an absolute mess. Until life is just like you don't even recognize it. And so he says, what if all you had to do to avoid all of this was just to let go at the beginning? Rather than this crazy situation you just got into, when the blockage gets hit, see it as a good thing. Realize that when it gets hit, this is your chance to let go. And so that intense energy, when you let it go, guys, it actually transmutes. So I get into this in mastery, but as you move through the chakra system, your heart is a huge assimilator of energy and release of energy. And so when you let a blockage go and you open your heart to it, this is how you let it go. You get disturbed, and rather than allowing the anger to draw you down and lashing out at people, you go, man, I'm pissed off. I'm going to open my heart to that feeling. And it moves through that and it gets cleansed. And then that energy force draws you up. This is how you ascend. It's massive. All right? Remember, it's a good thing. Getting involved in the darkness does not dispel darkness. Getting involved in those feelings just brings you down. All right? And if you fall along the way, it happens. We all fall occasionally. And when you're tired and you're sick, it's more easy to fall, right? Because your energy is already low. He just says, use it as a lesson to strengthen your resolve. Because when you get down into that energy space, it doesn't feel good, right? Like, I don't think anyone likes to be down there. And so what he's saying is, when it happens, don't try to rationalize. Don't blame yourself. Don't try to figure out why you got there. If you feel shame, let it go. If you feel fear, let it go. He says, you just got to let it go. That's that song, right, from Frozen. Let it go, let it go. Best song ever. That's what you got to do. Play that song again and again and again. Okay? So he says, let all your blockages and disturbances become the fuel for your journey. That which is holding you down can become a powerful force that raises you up. Does anyone have questions with that? Because that's the key, okay? When you realize that, wow, when that blockage gets hit, when that sting in my tube gets disturbed, when I have this intense trigger inside of me, that's the opportunity. Life is literally unfolding with the people and the situations and all the stuff to create the opportunities for you to realize what's still inside of you unresolved, so that when it gets hit, rather than going into this like crazy thing that most humans do, you go, whoa, here's my chance. Like, this is my opportunity. Let me open my heart. Let me let go. Let me just rest. And that thing will move through with all of the intense energy that was packed in there, right? It will move through, and if you open your heart to it, it will liberate you. It will literally bring you into a deeply, sometimes meditative state when you release that, and your frequency will change. You will literally elevate. This is the secret. Massive secret. And I'll end with this final thought. He says, you are a great being who has been given a tremendous opportunity to explore beyond yourself. The whole process is very exciting, and you will have good times and bad times. All sorts of things will happen on this human journey. That's the fun of the journey. The fun of the journey is to realize what's in here, what do I need to let go, how amazing is it when I let go, how awful is it when I don't let go. Like, that's why we're here. It's to figure all of this out, to enjoy the polarity of life, right? So, what are we all going to practice this week? Letting go. Put let go in the chat if you are ready to just let go and let that thing liberate you. We are going to get into chapter 9. We're back in a rhythm. I'm back from my travels. And chapter 9, it seems like a shorter chapter. Let's see. It's page 81 to 87. But we're just going to keep going chapter by chapter. I find it easy to do it that way. So let go. That's right. All right. Karen's letting go. Lou's letting go. Charlotte is L, I assume, for let go. That's what we're going to do. All right, guys. Great discussion. If you've got questions on this, like, put it in the chat, put it in Telegram. We'll get the Telegram channel. It's always there for you to comment and ask any questions in. But this is huge. I would read and reread this chapter to understand the negative cycle and understand how to stop it and help it liberate you. That's everything. That is everything. So if you have questions with it, let's talk. If you want to dive in deeper, I am opening up Mastery again. We're going to have a session starting, I think, towards the end of April. I'll be talking about it soon. So lots of love to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. I love starting my week with you. I missed you all while I was traveling, but it was great. And we'll talk soon, guys. See ya.